Hi, welcome to another vlog. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andy and I am the Managing Director and Head Trainer of Able Training Support Limited. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different on this vlog. Quite often I talk about the subjects I teach or about the environments that I teach in and some of the things that I come across on a day-to-day. And one of the things that was kind of drawn to my attention and something we've been discussing in the office is a thing called continual professional development. So as a trainer, and I've been full-time training for probably 7 or 8 years now, teaching on and off for well over 15. And a big part of what I do, and every year I do a CPD record. So a CPD record is a log of everything I've done to advance my knowledge and understanding related to the subjects that I teach or to teaching itself. And it's something that I take great pride in, and it's also something I make mandatory for the other trainers within my organisation, but is also mandatory for all the staff that work for me, not just the trainers as well. I'm a big believer. I've met so many people where despite having significant experience within the job, there's a big difference between, let's say, 15 years experience and 1 year's experience we've done 15 times. And I may have used that principle before in a vlog, but it's so important that one of the reasons that, or what I work hard at, is to continually kind of update my knowledge and skills. Because technology moves forwards, knowledge moves forwards, theories move forwards, it's constantly changing. And I teach a lot of different courses, and all of those I want to be ideally on the forefront of the information, teaching the most up-to-date and relevant theories and understanding around subject, making sure that my knowledge of the current statistics or understanding is kind of at the forefront. If we take an example of something like a subject like first aid, and for any of you out there who've ever done first aid training, I'm sure you're very aware that things change in first aid, that sometimes they change what ratio is from compressions to breaths, or whether we take a pulse or don't take a pulse, or whether we have to give breaths or don't, or whether it's different from adult or child, or even what is classed as a child in first aid, are all things that changed over the years. And one of the reasons those things change is that every 5 years, the research councils from around the world look at statistics as far as first aid incidences and look at what worked, what didn't, how can we improve, how can we make it better, how can we save more lives. And they take that information and they then apply it over to go, well, let's change what we consider to be right. Now, if the research councils around the world get together every 5 years, but first aid refreshers only, as far as Ofqual accredited courses, only require refreshing every 3 years, and that includes myself as a trainer, that I only have to do my mandatory refresher to update my qualification in first aid every 3 years. Now, straight away, if I've done mine kind of, let's say, I did my first aid last week, the Research Council then bring out their new guidelines the following week, then I'm potentially going to be taking that information I learned last week and teaching that for the next 3 years to my students, even though new criteria and information around guidelines has changed. So if I'm not doing my continual professional development of making sure that I am aware that the Research Council have changed their information and the recommendations, and immediately adapting that into my training, and therefore I'm going to be teaching out-of-date stuff as soon as I start. And that just isn't right. It's not what we want. We want to make sure that, again, what we're teaching is at the forefront and it's the right quality and information being passed on to those that we're supporting. So no matter what the subject, I try and make sure I'm doing some level of continual professional development. Now, when we talk about that, I'm not necessarily meaning that I have to do additional training courses. There is so much that can be classed as continual professional development. Reading an article that's been written by an organisation about a particular subject. I do an awful lot of audiobooks. So I do listen to an audiobook nearly every time I drive. I use Audible an awful lot. And I can get through a full audiobook in one journey because I tend to listen to it quite fast, so I put the speed up. So I tend to put it about a time and a half on some of the audiobooks I listen to because I prefer that pace of listening. So if I've got 3-hour journey there, 3-hour journey back, that's 6 hours of listening to an audiobook. So some books I can kind of completely smash out in a couple of journeys. I do read a lot of information as well. When I'm doing course development and updates, then I'm regularly finding new information and the most up-to-date information, whether it be on the internet or in research papers. It's also known where to look for the correct information on the internet. But you can get some really good stuff on YouTube sometimes if you get it from a credible organization, credible setting. Obviously, a lot of the charities have some amazing information. They're constantly kind of reinforcing and researching, and a lot of the dementia stuff that we teach taken directly from the Alzheimer's Society, and we work closely with them to kind of make sure we're at the forefront of the information that's being passed on there. So I get loads of newsletters from various charities as well, based on information. One I get loads of information from is a charity called is an ADHD charity. It was called AD. So they send newsletters all the time, some great information in there. So whether it be articles or even go to expos or watching seminars or doing any course that I can get my hands on, even little e-learning courses sometimes that kind of just a little bit of a refresher, just takes an hour out of my time just to top up and just make sure the information is fresh in my mind. These are stuff I kind of do all the time. But I don't just do that for my training. I also do that, so some of the audiobooks I listen to not only are about psychology or certain conditions or understanding theory around kind of certain conditions and care. I also listen to audiobooks regularly about business strategy and marketing and entrepreneurship and things like that, because I also want to be the best me I can be in not just teaching but also in being a manager, being a business owner, and supporting my staff and things like that. And I encourage them to do the same, that whether it be an area of their job that I think they enjoy and therefore I want to nurture and kind of promote that kind of aspects of things like, so I've got one lady in my workplace, one of my staff, she's really interested in leadership and management and wants to develop on that. So we're going to be looking at courses to kind of support her through that. And when things die down, hopefully she'll have time to kind of move forwards on that and do a qualification. Got another that's interested in marketing, so I want to build on that side and kind of nurture that and look at doing some courses and promote that kind of understanding. So anything we can do to kind of develop the people that we're with and around, because anything we can do to make us better. I'd be really interested, as far as those of you out there, or as I do, I try and throw questions back to people. As far as whether it be in the care industry or in education or whatever it is, do you get opportunities? Do you get support? Do you get time to get continual professional development? So I know, obviously, some care settings, they do make sure that their staff are doing kind of what used to be called the old MVQs, but level 3 in health and social care, level 4, level 5 as far as moving on up. And that'd be really interesting. Do all the settings out there kind of promote that and encourage that? Is there some that do, some that don't? Would you like more of that? Is there kind of information that you wish you had access to? One of the things I'm kind of hoping to do over the vlogs, as I'm constantly looking for new ideas of what I can talk about and what I can do, is to maybe do some kind of book reviews on some of the audiobooks or some of the books that I've read or are reading, and kind of promote those and see how they might help you in your everyday life. Whether you value my opinion or not, maybe just giving you some awareness as far as some books that are out there, if nothing else. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you. What kind of CPD do you do? What kind of CPD do you enjoy doing and find most useful for your job? Whether that be because you're a trainer, whether because you're a business owner, whether it because you're a carer or a teacher, what is it? And what do you think works best for you? If you've got any additional ideas as well, that things you might think, hey Andy, you should try this. I find this really useful, because I have looked into some of the apps out there, like I think one's called Blinkist, where you can listen to kind of key bits of books very, very quickly. That seemed quite intriguing, but I didn't know whether it was any good or not. But I'd love to hear some opinions and get some feedback back on what works, what doesn't, as far as CPD is concerned.